And I'd like to welcome you all to our Tuesday 1:30 p.m. session today with our brand new guest, IONA, where Samantha will be talking about services and programs from IONA. I'm going to read our disclaimer before we get started. The WildTech DC Senior Digital Equity Program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health, well-being information designed for educational purposes only. You should not rely on the information and any apps or topics made by WildTech, including but not limited to mobile device applications and any social media pages maintained by WildTech, its owners or presenters as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Thank you so much for letting me read the disclaimer. If you cannot see us, hear us, or see the screen, please let us know in the chat, and we would appreciate that. Let's make sure to keep our TVs and cell phones in mind so we can have the most immersive experience. And as always, let's make sure to take notes and or screenshots so that way you could review the information for later on. But once again, this session will be posted on our YouTube channel so you can review it as many times as you'd like. Samantha, if you could introduce yourself and your topic for today. Thank you so much for coming on. And make sure I'll stay on for our poll at the end so you can let us know how you felt about the session today. Thank you so much, Samantha.
Sure, great. Thank you so much. And thank you for the introduction, Alex. It's great to be here. This is my first time presenting with Wild Tech, but I had the pleasure of joining your Valentine's Day program, and I love the warm energy and welcoming energy that you all bring. I'm going to be sharing today about IONA, which is the nonprofit that I work with. I'm going to share my screen with you. And like I said, feel free to raise your hand and jump in with any questions that you have. Let me just make my screen a little bigger. So I'll be talking all about IONA today, and my name's Samantha Henson. I'm a social worker, so glad to be here on Social Work Day, and I'll be telling you about the other social workers that work at IONA as well. I manage IONA's information referral helpline, which I will tell you more about as we go along. And I also do community outreach for IONA, which is what brings me here today. Before I jump in and start talking about IONA, I was wondering if I can see a raise of hands. How many people here are already familiar with IONA?
That's a great starting point, Samantha. Anyone familiar with IONA services, please raise your hand in Zoom so we can get a scope of what you guys are already aware of.
I see one person. Okay, two people. So it seems like it'll be some new information for a lot of people. For those who raised their hands or those who are familiar with IONA but haven't raised your hands, would you mind sharing a bit about what you know about IONA, or if you don't know about IONA, something you would like to know about IONA?
Yes, thank you so much, Samantha. So I'm going to go ahead and again, unmute folks, but again, please make sure that you raise your hand if you have a question or want to know about IONA or what you already know. First up, we got Yvonne. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Alex, and welcome, Samantha. I understand that most recently you've been named the lead agency for Ward 4 in terms of providing senior services.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're over in Ward 3 off Albemarle Street. And I've had the benefit of services from IONA through Club Memory, which is with the Sibley Hospital. So yeah, IONA's been around, and I'm quite familiar with them, and I'm delighted and look forward to your being the lead agency for Ward 4 seniors.
Thank you so much. That is correct. So we have been the lead agency in Ward 4 for many years. IONA's been around for 50 years. This is our 50th anniversary. Last year, we also became the lead agency in Ward 2. This year, we're now in Ward 4 also, but most of our programs are for any DC resident. So I'll be talking more about what a lead agency means and what's available only for those wards and what's available citywide too. Thanks so much for that introduction.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne, so much. Hey, Anne, hope you're well. Thank you so much.
Hey, Alex. Yes, I know about it. Iona from my godmother's um, uh, situation with Iona. And I was pleased because I've been there a couple of times when somebody was there from Iona. She's now in Silver Spring now. Um, but she sold her house because it was too much. But it was, I'm just grateful for you all. And hopefully, maybe some of us will get to use some of your services.
Great, thank you so much. And that's how a lot of people hear about Iona because we've been around so long. A lot of people hear from us from family members, and then maybe at some point they're able to benefit from our services too. So we try to have a little something for everyone, whether it's caregivers or people who are benefiting from the services more directly. So I'm going to go over this quickly because we were able to talk about a little bit already. But Iona's mission is to support people as they experience the challenges and opportunities of aging. We educate, advocate, and provide community-based services to help people age well and live well. And of course, I'll talk more about what all of that means. I mentioned that we were founded about exactly 50 years ago to respond to the needs that our community was finding. And we became the lead agency in Ward 3 in 1982. And we've been the lead agency there ever since. We opened our day program, which is also a program that when people think about Iona, a lot of the time they think about our day programs. So I'll talk more about those. We opened one location in Tenleytown in Ward 3 in Northwest. And then in 2020, we opened a location in Congress Heights in Ward 8. Like I mentioned, 2023, we also became the lead agency in Ward 2, in 2024 in Ward 4. And a little bit more about what it means to be a lead agency is that Iona gets some funding from the Department of Aging and Community Living to offer programs specifically for older adults in those wards 2, 3, and 4. In addition to what the Department of Aging funds at Iona, some of the programs they fund are citywide for us. And we have some other funding pots as well that allow us to provide some services citywide or sometimes even outside of DC. But I'll be sure to point out the ones that are ward specific, just because that's a little bit more limited. I always like to start out by talking about our information referral helpline. You don't have to memorize anything we're talking about today. You can always call our information referral helpline or email us. And like I mentioned, this is the program that I manage at Iona. So about 50% of the time I'll be answering the helpline, and then the other percent of the time is another social worker who helps me on the helpline while I'm doing that outreach work. So people call our information and referral helpline for a variety of resources. So they'll ask about Iona's programs and services, but also someone might just have a different aging or caregiving related question that may not directly connect to Iona's services and programs, but we still try to help them. So we get questions around housing, long-term care options like assisted living, nursing homes, things like that, benefits people might be eligible for, and caregiver support. I think I see something in the chat. Oh, Alex put in the helpline information. Thank you, Alex. So people who call the helpline, we have people call the helpline for resources for themselves. We get a lot of family members, adult children, siblings, cousins, nieces, nephews. We also have professionals call the information referral helpline, attorneys, financial advisors, other social workers, and community members. So sometimes we get calls from someone who's concerned about a neighbor, and maybe they don't have all the information, but their neighbor hasn't been coming out as much, or their mail is piling up, or something like that. So really, anyone's welcome to call. There's no geographic restrictions, and it's staffed by licensed social workers. And the helpline is monitored during regular business hours. So Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 by phone or email. And on the phone, typically you will get a voicemail, not always, but most of the time. And we say we'll call back within 2 business days. Usually it's within a couple hours, so we get back pretty quick. For a little bit about eligibility for IONA's programs, I started talking about this a little bit. Most of our programs are for people who are over 60 or caregivers of someone over 60. Most of our programs are open to anyone in DC, but some go a little bit into Maryland, or like the helpline anyone can call. 2 of our programs are only for wards 2, 3, and 4. So one of them is called Information Assistance in Education. That's kind of like light social work support. So if there's one resource that you want to apply for, like SNAP, for example, or sometimes people get letters and they're not sure if it's a scam or something they really have to respond to. That type of thing we have available for wards 2, 3, and 4. That is also available in the other wards, just not through IONA. And we also have nutritionists and dietitians on staff. That program's only for wards 2, 3, and 4. Again, it would be a different lead agency per the other wards. And we're happy to refer you to those if you call our helpline. And most of our programs have no cost. And I'll be pointing out the ones that are a little bit different. Some of them have anywhere from 0 cost to a fee. So sometimes there is a sliding scale option. So we have a ton of programs. So to make a little bit more sense, rather than just listing it all out, I group our programs into buckets. The first bucket is called Consultation, Care Management, and Counseling. That's where you would find a lot of our social workers. I'll be talking more about that program. We also have nutrition programs through licensed dietitians and nutritionists. Again, one of the programs within that bucket is only for those wards 2, 3, and 4. They do offer some nutrition counseling too. So that the nutrition counseling is only for those wards, but they also offer nutrition education through a different program we have that's open more widely. We have our adult day health programs, and these programs are somewhere for people who have memory loss or physical needs, where they can go during the day for some social engagement, but also have medical staff there if needed. We have community wellness programs. So that's our Around Town DC program. It kind of reminds me of Wild Text programs, where we have some social wellness and fitness programs online. We also have some in person and community dining sites. I'll talk more about those. And we do outreach and advocacy. So check over. I have a question here to expand on assistance in education services. And that's a great lead in to my next slide, which goes into consultation, care management, and counseling. What you asked about is actually the first thing listed here. And again, this is our kind of like social work bucket. So information assistance and education is the program that I mentioned. Through IONA, we only offer in wards 2, 3, and 4, but again, is offered through different agencies in the other wards. And you would be able to have access to a social worker for kind of like a short-term task. So some of our other programs are more ongoing social work support, more like case management or care management, whereas information assistance and education is almost kind of like drop in and ask a social worker a question. So before I gave the example of if you got a piece of mail that was concerning or you weren't sure what to do with, you could run it by a social worker. If you're applying for a benefit, like LIHEAP is an example of a benefit for utilities. Let's see, if you maybe needed referrals to case management. So if you wanted to meet with someone in person, but it's kind of like a 1 or 2 times that you would need some support from a social worker. Does that clarify that program? And there's no fee for it. We just need to do an intake for that program.
Samantha, I think just the helpline is going to be a very, very vital resource to get any information or any not additional questions, but yes, if you have any additional questions about anything else, I love this list you have here. I mean, it's encompassing, like you said, the social bucket, as you said. I love
Mhm.
that, and there's a lot here to take advantage of. So. Please make sure you guys call that helpline as you always do when we have our presenters on for assistance or just another perspective. I'm sure the service is so amazing, and you guys are so patient working with all many different cases, so and persons in DC, so please take advantage, you all.
Thank you. And yes, the information for a helpline, again, you don't have to memorize anything. Feel free to ask questions here, but especially if you have something more personal that you don't want to ask here in a group setting, feel free to call our helpline and we can refer to these, we can tell you about the programs, make sure you're eligible, and then directly refer you to them and help with that enrollment. Like I mentioned, there's an intake for this program. Um, and we also, so again, information assistance and education is kind of like short-term social work support. Dementia Navigators is a little bit more like longer-term support for people who have memory loss. So they don't need to have a dementia diagnosis, but if they're starting to notice they're having some concerns about memory, um, or if they have concerns about dementia, we can connect them with a social worker that can help them navigate getting a diagnosis. They could help them access different resources. And there's no fee for dementia navigators. So they really specialize in subsidized resources that people who are experiencing dementia might need support around. Um, and then we also have this program called Aging and Caregiving Support. So I mentioned some of our programs have a fee. Aging and Caregiving Support is one of the programs that has a fee. So it's kind of like, it's very similar to Dementia Navigators, but their specialty is more in connecting people with other for-fee services. So if someone's looking to move to like a community care, like a continuing care community, like assisted living, and they're able to pay for that privately, or they're looking to put in home care and they're able to pay for that privately, that's when we might be referring them more to aging and caregiving support. And they can offer similar support to dementia navigators, navigating different diagnoses. They don't have to have memory loss for that program. And that program also goes a little bit outside of DC too. It's not DC specific. We offer reassurance calls anywhere in DC to people who are over 60, and that's just like a friendly phone call from an IONA staff person. So it's not social work support. It's something we started during the pandemic because people were feeling so understandably isolated during the pandemic, being at home, adjusting to things like Zoom um, and iPads and all those things now that feel kind of built into our everyday. But social isolation is still an issue, and it's just a friendly check-in. Um, we also offer mental health therapy at IONA. We accept insurance for that, Medicare and Blue Cross Blue Shield. And again, focusing on older adults and caregivers. And we have a variety of support groups at IONA. Many of our support groups are geared towards caregivers. So caregivers of someone with memory loss. And then there are kind of specific ones for that too. Spouses caring for someone with memory loss, adult children caring for a parent with memory loss. We also have a more general caregiver support group that's not specific to the relationship or diagnosis. We have a group called Silver Circles that we partner with Whitman Walker, and that's for LGBTQ older adults. And we have a low vision support group, and also we also have an transitions and aging support group around different needs that different things that people are experiencing as they get older. And those groups are all virtual right now. Thank you for the notes in the chat. And I know this slide is kind of a mouthful. I'm going to jump into some of our other programs, some of the more fun programs. But I want to pause because I've spoken a lot about what IONA is, what our eligibility is, and the social work programs. Just wanted to see if there's any questions or comments before I continue on.
Oh, once again, Samantha, thank you so much for this information. I love, again, this bucket or this, this treasure trove of different resources. And again, make sure you share this information with others as well so you can help out our community. And you may know someone that may really need one of these services. So, any questions on what Samantha has shared, any comments, please raise your hand in Zoom. And we love to hear from you guys before our next section. All right, we got Anne. Thank you again so much.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about the mental health and the support groups.
Mhm.
The support groups, I take it, are for different other things other than health, mental health, or
Yeah.
do they overlap?
I would say it overlaps a lot. But some of those topics around just like you don't need to have a mental health diagnosis. So
Mm-hmm.
it's around getting older, maybe your mobility is changing, or
Yeah.
maybe you're considering moving from your house. There's different changes that come up. And let me think. And Silver Circles, the group I mentioned, we partner with Whitman Walker for LGBT older adults. I don't think that really focuses on health so much, but the caregiver support groups, those tend to be more focused around dementia or a chronic health condition.
Okay, and they're mainly for the people who are dealing with that, with the like a parent or a grandparent or something like that. The
Yeah, so
support groups.
a lot of our support groups are caregivers. So a lot of the time it's spouses, or adult children,
Oh,
sometimes friends, but it's more the person caring for someone who has a diagnosis.
okay, thank you. I was wondering because I was thinking I know somebody that might need a little extra help dealing with a parent who's showing exhibiting characteristics of Alzheimer's.
Yeah, it
Uh,
sounds like that person would definitely be a good fit. And we do try to
Okay.
keep the support groups local. So it's mainly we say for someone who could otherwise get to Iona in person, even though they're virtual, it's just not like we have people from across the country. We want it to still kind of have that local feel.
I understand. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. Again, any other questions about anything you guys have heard so far from Samantha, please raise your hand in Zoom. Great question, Anne. Hi, Miss Celeste. Thanks so much for joining. Make sure you hit unmute in the middle. There you
Yeah.
go.
Hi, how you doing, Samantha? I have a question. You mentioned wards 2, 3, and 4. Are there any programs for Iona in Ward 6?
Yeah, so most of our programs are not limited to those wards. So if we're looking at this slide, for example, the only program here that's limited is the information assistance and education. But again, if you still are looking for that, you can still call our helpline and we can point you in that direction. It just might not be from us. So it's just this one program, information assistance and education, and our nutrition counseling. Those are the only ones that are ward specific. The others are open to any DC residents over 60 for the most part.
Oh, all right. And I can find the number to Iona, or is it posted on the screen or in the chat?
Yes, it's in the, Alex put it in the chat. Also our website, iona.org.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's on the first slide of this, the first and last slides here too.
Yep. Yep. Make sure you all check out that chat, and thank you again for having the info in the slides as well, Samantha. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Um, And I love that, Samantha. Again, as you said, some programs are just or are maybe offered in one ward, but it's good that most of them are not. But either way, call. And if Iona can directly assist you, that's great. And I love that you guys refers to the other, I'm assuming, lead agencies for some of the
Mhm.
wards with similar programs.
Yeah, so for example, I'll be talking about our dining sites, and our dining sites are in wards 2, 3, and 4, but the other lead agencies have dining sites in the other wards. So the Department of Aging, some programs are different that they fund ward to ward, but there's also a lot of overlap, especially those ones that are ward specific.
Yeah, so anyone can call and they can get a wonderful referral. So I love that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So I will jump into our nutrition programs. I mentioned that we offer nutrition counseling that is ward specific. And that focuses, again, it's not like generally calling up any nutritionist. This is more focused on nutrition as we age and nutrition around specific diagnoses people might have. There's no fee for that program, but again, we'd be referring out if you're not within our wards. And I mentioned our community dining sites that offer lunch Monday through Friday at noon. I'm going to talk more about those dining sites on another slide, but the way our nutrition program participates in that is by supporting the lunch aspect of it. I briefly mentioned before our program called Around Town DC. You can see the website for Around Town DC here, aroundtowndc.org. In Iona, we have a variety of social and fitness programs. So we have art classes, yoga, Zumba. What else do we have? We have celebrations, educational programs, and those can all be found on this website, aroundtowndc.org. Some of the programs are in person. I will say most of the in-person programs are in wards 2 or 3, but a lot of the programs are also virtual. So I believe pretty much all of them use Zoom for the virtual programs. I mentioned a few times now our community dining sites. So in addition to being dining sites, they also have programming. So we have a variety of sites in wards 2, 3, and 4. And they all have programming Monday through Friday from 10 to 2 p.m. And some of the programs kind of similar to what I was describing with Around Town DC. But the main difference is it's all in the same place. So if you know you want to go somewhere and have kind of that home base, or if there's a site that's near you, the sites are available, and they also have lunch every day at noon. And there's no fee for that. And again, there are dining sites in the other wards too, just not operated by Iona. We also have a program called Aging Solo, and this program is available for purchase sliding scale. And it's like a curriculum around aging. So we created it for people who are the term is aging solo, so don't have obvious decision makers or obvious supports as they age. But it really could be helpful for anyone planning for the future, building a social network, considering whether you can stay in your home or if you need to consider a move in the future. So it's a curriculum that works well for individuals or groups. And light plug, we are planning to host it at no cost through Around Town DC in the summer. So you can always sign up for that Around Town DC newsletter, the e-newsletter, and you'll get notifications about what we have going on. And we have a variety of volunteer opportunities at Iona in most of our programs. So at the dining sites, we have volunteers in our office, Around Town DC. Volunteers help me with my outreach. So if you're interested in volunteering, it'd be great if you reach out to us as well. The day programs are a little bit different. So I'll pause here and see if there's any questions before I pivot to talking about our day programs.
Oh, once again, Samantha, thank you so much. I I've been familiar with Around Town DC for a while. That's one of the apps that are actually are preloaded, or the websites that are preloaded on the device, most of the devices. And I see that you guys are updating they're updating the website.
Yes, yeah, hopefully very soon.
And if you could take a second to actually visit the website, they actually have the calendar of events, and they're highlighted very clearly on which ones are like in person, which ones are virtual. So I really like that.
Thank you. And I
Yeah.
do see someone has their hands up.
hmm
Jeanette.
Yeah. Any questions about these community wellness programs? Thank you, Miss Jeanette, so much.
Okay, hi, thank you. I noticed you mentioned nutrition programs. I was talking to someone and she was saying, I know around the area you used to could go to places to pick up food, and I know the capital area food bank was involved in this. Do you have any programs like that?
Places you could go to pick up food. I think that our dining site at St. Albans has a like farmers market once a month for participants, but I think mostly that would be something we'd refer out for. So I know near Iona in Ward 3, there's a place called Northwest Community Foods that has food every Sunday available for pickup. So it's like they also have some like pantry items, fresh produce, toiletries. So we would probably refer mostly, but some of our programs, every now and then you might find something.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, great question. All right, well, I will move on. So I'll talk about our adult day programs, and these programs are Monday through Friday, about 8:15 to 5 p.m. And I know a lot of the time people say, oh, wow, I would never wake up that early, and that's okay. But these are designed more for someone to go at a certain time and stay for multiple hours and then leave, as opposed to the dining sites in around town DC that are more like drop-in programs. And these are more geared towards people who have memory loss or physical needs. But again, it's a lot of similar engaging programs. A lot of fitness programs, conversations. They have meals and snacks. They go on field trips, as do our dining sites in around town DC. Um, and let's think what else there is to say about that. This program is sliding scale, and they also accept Medicaid, the VA. A lot of the time, long-term care insurance will reimburse. So there's different funding options for that. And I think someone had mentioned our memory cafes. Um, those are once a month. I think we actually might have one coming up this Friday, if I'm not mistaken, around St. Patrick's Day. But there are social programs for people who have memory loss and their caregivers. And I think there's a suggested donation for that, but no real fee for it. Any questions about our day programs before I move on? Okay. And I think this is my last slide about programs we have, our outreach and advocacy. We have a practice and ethics advisory committee. I'm actually on this committee with professionals who work with older adults and caregivers to support other professionals in the field. So if they're really concerned about a client or they have an ethical issue, they can come to us for consultation, and we also offer some trainings. We also have citizens advisory groups, I think just in wards 3 and 8, because we have our dining site and not our dining site, our day program in ward 8, and we're a lead agency in ward 3, where community members can share with Iona what they're seeing in the community and what they think we can do to support them and other community members. We also have a medical equipment loan closet, which is very popular. If you have any medical equipment you no longer need, you can drop it off at Iona. And if there's something that you do need, you can pick it up free of charge. and have it for as long as you need it. So those are things like walkers, wheelchairs, canes, toilet risers, shower chairs. I think we've had grabbers. There's a full list on our website. It is pretty specific what we accept, but it's a great resource. I think knee scooters, rollators. So there's a lot that we have there. We also partner with legal counsel for the elderly, and they rent space from us once a week to provide self-help offices. So that's kind of like drop-in paralegal support. So they can also help with applying for benefits or reviewing legal notices or legal referrals. But that goes through legal counsel for the elderly. So if you were to call IONA about that, we would refer you to the legal counsel for the elderly helpline to so they can connect you to that program or one of their other legal programs. And we also support an LGBTQ advisory committee, similar to the Citizens Advisory Group, but focused on the needs and supports for LGBTQ older adults. And that is, those are all my slides with information about IONA. Again, here's our address. There's our helpline and our website. The helpline email address, I don't know why I didn't list it here, is info@iona.org. I can put that in the chat. And feel free to use this as a resource if you have questions about our programs or other supports in the city. And I see we have some chats here. Someone had shared about some food availability. Someone posted about, okay, I think it's about Martha's Table, which is through marthastable.org, and they have some fruit, vegetables available. That's open to everyone who has a valid ID. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you, Samantha. If you don't mind putting that slide back up, of course, it has your contact. It has Iona's website. Make sure y'all take a screenshot as well, so you can keep this in case you haven't need it or may want to share with someone. But thank you so much, Samantha, for presenting on Iona. You guys have a lot of different kinds of programs that are especially much needed, in this day and age. So again, I think just everyone should take advantage as much as they can for these programs that are available to us here in DC.
Mhm.
So any questions, please raise your hand, or any takeaways or comments. Maybe other things that you would like maybe Iona to present on, or other topics that you may be interested in learning more about. Please raise your hand and we love to hear from you guys. Any comments on the session, any questions, etc. Okay, we got some hands. We got Miss Wilda. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I have a couple of questions. First of all, when you said zones 1, 2, and 3, where exactly is that?
Yeah, so it's the wards, and the wards that are, again, it's just those two programs that Iona
What part of town is that, I mean?
yeah, they're all in Northwest DC.
Upper Northwest?
Yeah, so it's Ward 3 is like Tenleytown, Chevy
Uh-huh.
Chase. Ward 2 is closer to like DuPont Circle, Gallery Place, Georgetown.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and Ward 4 is newer to me, but I think it's more like Brooklands area,
Oh,
like east of Rock Creek. Yeah, east of Rock Creek River.
so if you don't live in those areas, if you don't live uptown DC, then you would not be able to participate in those particular programs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so it's
Or could I
just
come to up there and participate, or would I have to live there to participate?
it depends on the program. So out of the whole list of programs I gave, the only two that are specific to wards are the light social work support and the nutrition program.
Yes.
But
Okay.
everything else, the dining sites, the social programs through around town DC, the day programs, the helpline. Those are all available to DC residents.
Right. And then my next question is, we have a person in our group, senior group, who was looking for live-in aid. Would she be able to call your helpline and could someone help her with that type of information?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So that's an example of something where for that specific service only, we would refer them to either her insurance or a private pay program or a program through DC. But as we're talking to them, if we think, oh, maybe you'd also benefit from a social worker, or if we're talking, we think maybe you'll also benefit from a support group, we would try to share that with them too. But
they were
yeah, again,
specifically looking for an aid.
yeah, so for an aid, we don't have aid services, so we would refer them out for
But you
that.
could give them some information on
Yep.
how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
great.
the helpline would be a good resource for that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Great question.
Thank you so much, Ms. Wilder. Great question. Again, any other questions, any other comments for the session today? Please raise your hand in Zoom. We love to hear from you guys. Any thoughts as well? Hi, Ms. Lust, once again. Thank you so much. Yes, yes. Yep, that's Ward 4. Yeah. Shepherd Park, Brightwood, that's the uptown area. You got it. Um, yep. Again, Miss Celeste, you had a question or a comment for Samantha today? You got to make sure you hit the unmute, Miss Celeste.
Yeah.
There you
Okay.
go. Mm-hmm.
I was just going to mention a comment that someone had mentioned Martha's Table. Martha's Table is very good with fruits and vegetables and canned goods. They're very good. That's another source of free, free food if you don't mind standing in line or having someone stand in line for you.
And that's another reason I love doing these presentations, because I sometimes learn from you and you all can learn from each other too. That is a great resource.
Yeah, and you do have to have an ID and they will sign you up. And it's twice a week. You can go twice a week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Celeste. Yep. Any other questions or comments? Anything about the session today, please raise your hand in Zoom. But again, thank you so much, Samantha, for coming on. We got Yvonne again. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want Samantha, when you mentioned dining sites, are you talking about the senior centers such as Hattie Holmes or Fort Stevens?
Yeah.
Is that what you're referring to when you say dining sites?
Yes, I believe both of those that you listed are in Ward 4, and
Yeah.
IONA supports both of those sites.
I think it's important to clarify, where the in-person dining sites are.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of them. I can actually pull it up on the screen if you all would like to see. I'll stop
I think
sharing.
it's 12, right? It's 12, Samantha, or it's like
Yeah, it's probably about that. So I have a hard time off the top of my head, but I know in Ward 3, it's St. Albans Church, which is right by the National Cathedral. And then Ward 2, there's St. Mary's Court. So some of them are at residential buildings like St. Mary's Court. And then in Ward 4, we have some sites too, but I'll pull them up and I can share my screen with you all. And again, if they're not convenient, we can refer to other ones because they are all over the city. It's just a matter of which agency is supporting them. Yeah, so I'll share my screen really quick with those.
Yeah, again, I love that, Samantha. You can call and ask where the closest dining site to wherever you are is at, which is great. And we also learned about a lot of transportation options as well. So last week with some of our other providers. So I feel like if you really want to go to a certain site, I mean, just take advantage of the DC resources. I love this. Thank you so much for pulling this up, Samantha.
Yeah, no problem. So these are our sites in Ward 2. Yes, we have more than just those. I was thinking we have 6 in Ward 2. So we have Oasis Senior Center for the Homeless, the Asian Pacific Islander Senior Services Center. Claridge Towers is one of the residential buildings, but it's open to others. Same with the James Apartment Building. Asbury Dwellings and St. Mary's Quarter, also in Wards 2 and residential dining sites. We have St. Albans is in Ward 3, which I mentioned, right by the National Cathedral. Regency is a residential building in Ward 3. And then here's our sites in Ward 4, Colony House, Fort Stevens, Lamons, Hattie Homes. We just added in St. Mary's Court too, so that should be there. And then this next slide is also about the dining sites and more about what they offer. So art programs, fitness programs, book clubs, sing-along, music appreciation, meditation, legal counsel for the elderly has presentations. United Healthcare, I think, provides some information, Urban League, holiday and themed parties. I know we have a LGBT spring fling coming up, I think, next week, and field trips.
Wow, that's amazing. All at the dining site. You get to eat and learn.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's more than just the meal, but the meal definitely brings people together.
Thank you so much for pulling those different sites up. It's all over those wards as well.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we got Miss Rosemary next for a question or a comment.
Hi, first want to say, Samantha, thank you very much for the information that you gave us today. It's very helpful. I do attend Hattie Homes, but I've not to be there for a minute. But it is a good service that's provided for the seniors there at Hattie Homes. And also, I just want to make a correction on the Martha's Table thing. You can come out to Martha's Table 2 times per month, not per week.
Thank you.
Okay. And the Southeast location has a dozen of eggs that goes with the veggies and the fruits.
Thank you. That's very helpful information. Also, thanks for sharing about your connection with Hattie Homes. Would you be comfortable sharing a little bit more about programs you've enjoyed or
Well,
that you've seen?
Well, not really, because I only go there on Thursday to play cards.
Okay, well that's
but I've done bingo, and I've done like Mindful Mondays where they had a meditation. That's like, I think that's an hour session. I don't maybe like a couple of times, but Hattie Homes is good. They're friendly there, and the food. Okay, let's just move on about the fun times. I don't always eat lunch there when I go there on Thursdays, but overall, it's a good center to attend.
Thank you. And just like you said, you can kind of pick and choose what you're interested in.
Yes.
If you want to just go once a week, there's not really any strings attached.
Yeah. You can do like they do bingo. They do bingo. They have a quilting session. I think it's every day. I think it is. I don't know. And what is it? Did they have like a book club and current events there, and different like fun games and like movies, and then they also do outings also. Mm. They're going to be coming up to Martha's Table on Thursday for the first time to check it out. So they're looking forward to coming out there. Mm-hmm. And I'll be there to greet them. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I love when participants share.
Yes.
I love when participants share, because I think you give a much better picture sometimes than you really do.
Yep, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. Thank you, Samantha, again.
Thank you. And someone, a related question someone asked in the chat is what types of trips we offer. And that's a great question. I'm not I work on the information referral helpline, so I'm a little bit more big picture, but I know we've done like city tours, so driving around the city, looking at the cherry blossoms and looking at sites. I'm trying to think. I'm sure they like go to museums, like that type of trips. But you can always check out the website and check out aroundtowndc.org and see what's going on. Yeah, if I think of any others, I'll mention it. But yeah, I don't, sometimes when it gets to more specific questions, I have a little bit more trouble.
Oh, thank you for that, Samantha. I really appreciate that. Yeah, make sure you guys check out Around Town DC. That all of the events, virtual, in person, is there. I think it's a great resource. One website has it all. So I
Yeah.
just re-put that link in the chat again.
Yeah, sometimes if there's like the mayor's senior symposium or the mayor's holiday party will drive people to those events too. If like if our location is more convenient, we can take people there.
Yes, thank you so much. I just looking at the site, I see there's the on March 26th at 10 o'clock, there's the walking tour of the cherry blossoms at the tidal basin. So that sounds like a fun event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, right around peak.
Yes. We got Louise. Thank you so much for sharing. You have a question or a comment for us today?
I was just about to say that Model City is at 1900 Evart Street Northeast. They do have a lot of games and they have lunch at 12. They have games, lunch, bingo, dance classes, and art, and all those things. I used to go, and they do pick up Tuesday and Thursday if you sign up. And also with the Martha's Table, if you're not living in that area and you can't drive, you can Xerox your information and send it to them. And they will let someone pick up your food, because that's what my brother helped me with mine, because I can't drive out there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a Martha's Table in 14th Street area that and there's one in Southeast that I know of, and it's 2 times per month. But they give you a good supply of fresh vegetables and fruits.
I think Bread for the City has some similar programs too.
Yeah, on 14th Street Northwest.
Yep. Model cities, that's Ward 5, is that right?
Ward 5, yes.
Yes. So I think that's the dining site there
And
for
we do also have virtual exercise classes.
Thank you.
Twice a day, I think. I do 10 o'clock, sometimes 11, and then 3 p.m. And you can also go to the YMCA with them too. But they have instructors that teach everything.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Louise. All right, you guys. Well, again, any last final questions or thoughts for Samantha today? Again, it was a pleasure to learn more about Iona and to have Samantha with us for this time. Any final questions or comments? Anything that you want to learn about or what you may think the helpline may be helpful for yourself or a friend, for family member, community member? Well, if we see any other questions, Samantha, what do you enjoy most about working with the seniors and or your job?
That's a great question. One thing I really enjoy is hearing people watching out for one another, calling about friends, just knowing that there's people out there who care and are trying to support one another and all the caregivers. I think that's very rewarding working with people and being reminded that there's great people out there.
Thank you so much. And just thinking because we all like to check up on each other, but would you mind just explaining one more time those reassurance calls? Is that like someone calling in asking to call someone else, or is it like or do you ask the person, hey, if you need like to talk to someone, do you give the person the number, or how does that program work?
That's a great question. So that program, it's funded by the Department of Aging and Community Living, but it is available citywide. And it's for anyone who's just looking for a friendly phone call. So sometimes if I'm talking to people on the helpline and they're talking about being lonely or feeling disconnected, um, then I might refer them to this program. Or our social workers might be working with someone and say, you might really enjoy these reassurance calls. And if they haven't already completed an intake, we do need an intake because it's funded by the Department of Aging. And we have a lovely staff member named Vicky. People really enjoy talking with her. And you decide how often you want to speak. I think usually it's about every other week she'll check in, and it's just about building a friendly relationship with someone. So it's with that one IONA staff person, and typically it's ongoing. And I think it can be a little bit more or less depending on what people are looking for. But yeah, it does require an intake, and it's Vicky would reach out to you over the phone.
Oh, thank you for that. I know many of us, all the seniors on the call, is that intake, is that if they already are not affiliated with DACL yet, or because that's where again most of us have actually come from, is from
Mhm.
us receiving information from DACL. So just
Yeah.
wondering.
Yeah, so our intake is the DACL intake. So if you've completed one with the Department of Aging, it would sound very familiar, but it's if you've completed an intake with IONA before. So say you participate in Around Town DC and completed an intake for that program, and then decide, I also want to do friendly phone calls. You wouldn't then have to do another intake because you've already done one for IONA. But if you've already done one for the Department of Aging separate from IONA, we would still need a new one.
Okay, no, thank you so much for clarifying that. No, that's just amazing to be able to have that program, just have someone to chat with. And again, please share that with all of your friends and family, community members, 60 plus can definitely take advantage all over DC. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's amazing. Well, Samantha, thank you again so much for coming on our session today. We really appreciate it. And hopefully, again, we'll get tons of views on YouTube. And again, please share everyone the video with others so they can take advantage and learn about IONA and their services in Wards 2, 3, and 4, but also all over DC as well. Make sure you check out the helpline information in the chat, their website, their email, or any of that information, that lovely information that you guys shared about food and resources. Again, I love how, this conversation bloomed into a lot of different ways we can help each other out. So again, let's all make sure we give Samantha a big thank you, and make sure you all stay on for our poll at the end so that way you can let us know how you felt about the session today. Thank you so much, Samantha. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Thank you,
God
Samantha.
bless
Thank
you.
you.
Very
Thank
Thank
interesting
you,
information. Have a
Thank
great
you.
day, everyone.
Samantha.
Thank you
thank,
so
Bye.
much, darling.
thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for having
Samantha.
me and all of your engagement.
Thank you.
God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Feel free to
Thank
reach out
you.
anytime.
Bye.
I will
Bye.
be calling.